think we're here. I'm seeing a delay. Good morning, everybody. Let me tell you something. This getting up in the morning and having to be somewhere is a very strange feeling. I am here at the Ropeadope room. Sorry for the delays. We've had, we had at least one drive crash so far this morning, which for most people would be an indication that maybe you should turn around and go back, but no, this is Ropeadope. This is what we do. We keep going in the face of adversity. So I'm here at the room. The glow is always there, and I'm welcoming my Ropeadope TV partner, taking it all the way back, Mr. Fabian Brown. How are you?
I'm doing good here in East Philadelphia, but just not at Ropeadope HQ.
There you go. You were actually, I'm further east Philadelphia than you. So, we're here. We're back. What happened? What did I miss?
What did we miss?
Yeah, since we last did Ropeadope TV, what happened? Anything happened in the world? I wasn't paying attention.
Something about some virus or something like that, and some election or something. I don't know. Some protests. Something happened.
Something happened. Would this happen?
Whoa! Look at that!
Right, Ropeadope back, representing Philadelphia. Here we are. This is crazy. Morning. We've never done a morning show. I've got the water in the whiskey glass.
Oh man, isn't that like sacrilegious or something like that? I think that might be.
Not at 9:40, whatever in the morning. Yep. It's gonna be fun, man. We're gonna start at the top of 2020. You might think because there was lockdown that we didn't do much this year. We were at home the whole time, or most of the time. We're right here a mile away at the Ropeadope room. But I looked at the numbers. I think it was 69 singles and 75 albums out into the world at a time when people needed the music the most. So it's you'd think we might take a little break, but no, we're gonna jump in. We're gonna count them all down from the top. Start me off. There's going to be some technical difficulties for this first episode because this drive crashed. I'm going to have to old-fashioned, similar to a DJ digging through his crate to find the album, but more in a digital format, accessing a remote drive and finding the next song that we're going to play. So while I'm setting that up, why don't we, Fabian, would you please welcome our guest?
Yes. Well, everyone, welcome back, I should say. Welcome back to Ropeadope TV, and I'm super excited to welcome Mr. Tour de Force.
Hey, guys.
How you feeling, sir?
Pretty good, under the circumstances.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from Copenhagen.
And share a little light.
We were just, we've been back and forth through different degrees of lockdown, and right now we're in a pretty heavy lockdown. Only smaller shops are open. Department stores, bigger shops are closed. No schools, no teaching, no gathering of more than 10 people. Yeah, I mean, we're still doing relatively good if you compare to other parts of Europe, but But the thing is, once it really goes exponential with the COVID, it goes super fast. So most of us are pretty happy that we have a government that reacts pretty fast to trends. So
that's interesting. And I've been asking. We've had an opportunity to speak with a lot of, including yourself, a lot of musicians along these past several months. And, my big thing is, we are 9-10 months into this. And I'm always curious. I always like to ask all the musicians, what are you doing to keep yourself, creative? What are you doing to keep yourself sane? What do you do? What is it that you do on a daily basis just to kind of bring some type of, normalcy back to this whole entire situation?
Yeah, I guess it's very different from person to person. I've still been doing a fair amount of teaching, and some of it has been online, but some of it has been I've been able to actually go to the school and teach, which is pretty good. Then doing different studio projects, mixing, mastering, working on other people's music. And then lately I've been going back into some really nerdy business of programming my own plugins in Max MSP. So this is like, and it's a really interesting headspace you get in when you start to program like that. And it's actually pretty perfect for total isolation. But some days are better than others in terms of staying positive. And I was fortunate enough to actually play some gigs this fall, and some of them were canceled last minute. Some of them were rebooked, but there was still some live activity going on. I could probably, if it goes on for another 6 months or another year, then I might have a totally different view on it. Right now, I feel like if spring is going to be better, then yeah, we can deal with it. But it's tough. It's tough. And when I talk to all my friends, you see them on a good day, they're like almost normal, and you catch them on a bad day. And same with me. You're totally like, it's very day to day how I feel, and I think how most people feel about this whole situation.
Yeah, here, in the States, me specifically, it's been something else. Just doing the regular things. Holiday time, Christmas time. Normally we host Christmas at my house. 60 people for dinner. Well, that's not. Those things aren't happening this year. So it's like the little things that I'm experiencing that it's kind of like a big letdown. But things like this, things that we're able to connect with people, from all across the globe and just exchange some kind words and share some music. That's been the exciting part for me. And you had a couple of things coming out. I know we have it programmed here later on in today's show. And I know
I think we're set to start there.
Okay.
And actually, I should just mention that my latest album, The Build, is out on vinyl now. So I've been doing it old school, like taking my bike around to I guess 9 different vinyl shops in Copenhagen, and selling it, 2-3 items at a time. That felt good.
Oh, I can't wait to get into that. That sounds really exciting.
We need to get some signed special copies of that over here, Tor, and get them out on Bandcamp for one of our special Bandcamp days coming up in 2021.
Totally.
Excuse the ambient noise. The maggot parade is coming through town. Definitely want to do that, Tor, and people have been supporting tremendously throughout all of our summer and fall here by purchasing signed vinyl and copies of vinyl. So I'd love to get some over here, and we'll announce that later on. But we're going to start out with this Jazz Marley, and I'm going to say on camera, starting out with this tune. To our corporate overlords, this has been cleared. Royalties have been paid through the proper channels for the use of this material, and we're going to get a little of it. Hopefully we're not going to get shut down. We're kind of pirate live streaming a little bit here. But 2 tracks from Bob Marley. We're going to play one of them. The album is the EP. I'll call it an album. The project is called Jazz Marley. Can you just, pre-pave it for us a little bit, Tor?
Yeah, Bob Marley has always been one of my biggest heroes, and of course you think of reggae music when you think of Bob Marley, but to me it's more than reggae. It's like tunes that I think could be played in any format, just like really strong lyrics, strong melodies, great chords, So I had it in my mind to try and recreate the what I get out of listening to Bob Marley, but without the lyrics. So I spend a gazillion hours trying to figure out how I could play these melodies on guitar for them to make sense. So my hope is that when you listen to the instrumental versions, that you actually hear the lyrics inside your head and that you hear the clear connection to how Bob Marley phrased these great songs.
Okay, we're gonna get a taste of Sun is Shining. Okay, there we go. Bear with me, folks. This show is brought to you by me and my various computers. Welcome back, everybody. Monday morning. It already feels like 2021 for me. I got up this morning, and instead of my usual hit the desk and work on existing releases. I got my coffee, I got out the door and over to the Ropeadope room so that we could sort of run down the releases of 2020. I usually do this by writing posts on the Ropeadope site about each record that has come out, but that would have been 160 posts, which seemed like a daunting task at the end of the year. And we've been having so much fun live streaming this year and connecting with people. And also I went back and looked at some of the old Fabian, the old raw Ropeadope TV back in the old room, 300 square feet of glow, when we didn't know what we were doing at all. I don't feel like we know what we're doing now, but I remember when we started the show, it was like, I think I was listening to a radio program and they were telling me about music, and they were telling me everything about it. Oh, they're full opinion, like, and this is why this is great, and this guitar note sounds like so and so, and you can tell that he had this, every little detail, explaining why it was good, telling me that it was good. And I remember just slamming my hand on the radio knob and saying, "Shut the F up. Like, I don't want to hear that." It's so overly presented and polished that, I said, let's put a camera up and sit on the sofa and talk about music and experience it as we experience it. And it's funny to look back, because like now it's kind of like almost everything is this way now. Right? It's just we're getting more real.
You're talking, this is probably 2017, Lewis, that the first episodes of Ropeadope TV came around. Maybe even 16, if I think about it.
It might be, pre.
Yep.
Yeah. It might be pre. Anyway, that was beautiful. I'm glad that it got through and played through. Tour de Force, Tor Madsen, joining us from Amsterdam? Copenhagen. I haven't been traveling for some time. I feel that my geographical knowledge diminishing by the moment. Great early release in 2020, Jazz Marley. Honestly, you can just pop over to Bandcamp. What's that link, Fabian?
So the link for this album, you visit www.tourdeforce.bandcamp.com, and you can support Tor on his musical journey, not just on this EP, but on his album titled The Build. In fact, let me pull up some notes I have here.
Yeah, we're going to bring that. We're going to have that appear again, right?
Yeah, I think it's next week we have, or excuse me, maybe in a couple days here, we have another rendition, another track from Tor. This Jazz Marley album was released on February 6th of this year, 2020. The song we just listened to was Sun is Shining, and there's another track on that album, Waiting in Vain. And we had Tor, obviously, on guitar. I like to call him a multi-instrumentalist. If you had a chance to see his walkthrough of his studio, his home studio, it's nothing short than brilliant, And I really like that this what I'm hearing, it reimagines what Bob Marley was doing, taking those beautiful melodies, like Tor was saying earlier, and, rhythmically kind of turning it all around, with the jazz. A little bit of jazz, and Waiting in Vain has a little bit of a backbeat pocket. I really dig it. So on the album, on guitars, Tor, and on acoustic bass, Tor, you're going to help me pronounce this correctly. Jeppe Shova Bach?
Yeah, Jeppe Skobak.
Thank you so much.
And on drums, we have Jeppe Kram. So two guys share the same
first name. Well, Jeppe definitely held it down. This was actually recorded back in Copenhagen in September 27th of 2019. Also mixed and mastered by you, Tor. Before we go out, this is kind of, let's preview what's coming with the build. What's your thought process, Tor? In the beginning you had this Bob Marley thing swimming in your head, and then you really went to another place with the build. What was there a connection? What what was that thought process all about?
Well, the two projects were overlapping. I was already producing and writing the build while I did the Bob Marley project, and I think that's just the way I work. That I go between being a producer, playing all the instruments myself, or most of the instruments myself, using the studio as a tool on the one hand, and on the other hand also the good old-fashioned playing together with people in the moment, and just sort of not try to polish everything you do after the fact, but just really have confidence in the performance aspect of music. And I think for some of my favorite producers, they don't really have the ability to play like that. But I mean, just to say that has nothing to do with the quality of the stuff they put out. It's just a skill set that a lot of producers don't have. But being from a more traditional musician background, I always find it interesting to go through these different ways of creating music, either like we did with the Bob Marley thing, where everything is played in one take, or the longer process of really using the studio as a creative tool. And I think when I've been in too much in the studio mode, I sort of miss the instantaneous gratification of playing with people. And I think it's important for me to keep jutting, or to keep bouncing between these two different places, because if I just stay in one place for too long, I miss the other too much. And so there was just a little sort of distraction from the longer process of creating a whole album, a laborious way of sitting in the studio for hours on end. So it was just a really fresh little little pause from the usual studio work.
Wow, I love that breakdown. So you can find this EP and the build on Tor's Bandcamp, which is tourdeforce.bandcamp.com. Thanks so much for joining us here, Tor. I really appreciate that. Lewis, back to you, my friend. What do you got over there?
Big thanks to Tor for bringing us great music and for continuing to create, and for joining us this morning. Thanks so much.
Yes.
We are going to go a little bit out of order this morning for obvious reasons. And next we're going to jump out to Los Angeles. Eric Borders, aka Captain Supernova. I have a track queued up. Let's see if I can find the name of it. I think you have it on your list, Fabian.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me get.
I got it. Voyage to Nowhere, featuring Mark DeClivelo. And as crazy as this morning is, putting Tor and Captain Supernova, both with alter ego names, and also sort of that, everything that Tor just said is so eloquent about the studio work, and I think Eric is a bit of a tinkerer and studio guy in that way as well. So, want to tell people where to go for this, or we can do that when we come back out. All right.
Yeah, let's play the track, and we'll drop some information.
All right. So it's got to come in a little hot, because that's the way this works. Supernova. And for everybody's edification, that is an instrumental version of his album titled The Voyage Never Ends, I believe.
That is correct.
Yeah. That came out in January, yeah?
Yeah, so it came out January 24th. Captain Supernova, Eric Borders, aka Captain Supernova, he's a keyboardist, producer, based out in LA. And what was really cool about this rendition of this album, if you were digging into the vocal, version, it was pretty great. But for this version, it allowed me as an instrumentalist to really just pay attention to things that I didn't hear the first pass. So it was really, really interesting to me. And it's like this, I don't know, man. It's like this blend of sci-fi music and jazz fusion, and some tracks have a little prog rock in there, and the whole album is a whole lot of soul. And it's funny because it kind of throws me back in time to as a kid, in the house, my dad listening to cats like Marvin Gaye and Curtis Mayfield, Herbie Hancock. It really has that tone and that vibe. So we have Captain Supernova on the Rhodes and synths, percussions, piano, vocoder. We have Julian Hogan on drums, Scott Fulton on bass, and multiple various guitarists on the album, multiple horn players. This is littered all over the album.
And special guest Mark DeClivelo on the keys there. Yes,
that is correct.
I like that record because it's. I like the instrumental version because it's just a comforting thing to kind of pop on when you're just, has a very calming kind of feel to it. So, did we see Eric? So January 24th.
We did see Eric.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I just want to share before we wrap up today. We did a party in New York City. An amazing show, and we're gonna talk about that as we move forward to some of the different releases of the year. Aaron Parks with Tim Lefebvre and Kokai and Chet Doxis, all these cats at Rockwood in New York. That was an epic night. It was like a Ropeadope muscle flexing kind of vibe, right? These guys brought the charts to the back room right before the show, and everybody learned each other's songs, and then they went right up on stage and performed them, and that was a blast. And then I don't remember even a minute before we had to fly to LA, and we had another party out there, which was a ton of fun. But the reason we were in Los Angeles was to go to the Grammys, right? And I've been telling this story lately. I remember being on the plane out, and there's a guy one row in front of me and one seat over who is just sneezing and coughing, and it was just, and normally that's something you would forget, right? But it kind of set us into this super hygienic mode. Do you remember?
Yep.
It was I never carried hand sand with me before, but all of a sudden, when we landed in LA, it was get some hand sand and just spread this stuff around. And then we went. There are going to be plenty of stories about that. We'll talk about the night at Chappelle's party another time, because I think we really want to run that one down. That was an interesting night. But we get up on Sunday morning and we go after the party and we go to the Microsoft Center, I think it is, and we go in and we meet Christian Scott Atunde Ajwa and friends and family, and we meet David Sanchez briefly. So we all take our seats and we wait for the Grammy announcements. And during the time that we were mingling in the lobby, everyone simultaneously learned that Kobe Bryant had died that morning. I remember it was a foggy morning in LA, and that set a sort of tone in the room. And then further setting the tone was the fact that neither of our artists won the Grammy, which is always an interesting thing. I mean, they always say it's an honor to be nominated, and it's great, but you get there and you want it, so we kind of had that. I certainly had that sort of sad vibe. popping out the door is Christian Scott with the most positive vibe in the world. He's like, all right, let's go, crew, let's go to lunch, you know? We step outside and there are literally 25, 30,000 people in front of the place with Lakers jerseys and attire on, mourning the death of Kobe Bryant. And so it was a very strange scenario to see all the Lakers jerseys and the tuxedos of the people going into the
right.
you know, the real Grammys, right? Not the pre-Grammys. So, you know, we had a nice lunch and then kind of came back, and then it was just lockdown. Like that, for me, that's the last time that I really had, like, you know, full-on interaction with a lot of humans in person. So,
you know, I'm just, as I'm listening to you tell that story, Louis, I'm just kind of going back to that lunch and going back to Christian and his demeanor and his attitude of gratitude, if you will. I remember him just walking around that table with all the family and friends and us there, and him just being so grateful for just being in the moment, and him tying it back to, you know, how sometimes, you know, this crazy thing called life, we just don't know. And you know, it just, you're kind of, you know, I'm coming back to those feelings of that of that time.
I learned a lot that day.
Sure,
you know,
did.
he had more to lose than we did, and he made it a point to personally acknowledge, appreciate, and thank everyone at the table. It's I learned a lot from him how to be. You know, like he's a model of an enlightened human.
That's for sure.
I've reflected on that all year. So, Fabian, day one, we're going to do this for at least 3 weeks. We are going to take Friday off, but we have a lot more records to run down. I want to point out that what Ropeadope is going to be doing through this process and into 2021 is we're bringing out, you know, special edition pieces and curated items via Bandcamp and via the Ropeadope store. Tomorrow we're going to kind of show off some of the clothing line. We've resurrected and redone some of the iconic classic Ropeadope t-shirts from the past, with some new colors and styles, so that they're going to be out. We're going to be announcing a Christian Scott, or unveiling a Christian Scott Atunde Ajwa set of t-shirts, capsule collection, if you will, on Thursday.
Awesome.
So that will be out, and people have an opportunity. These will be in the Ropeadope store, or ropeadope.com. Other things, I've got some surprises. I might as well just let the cat out for some of these right now. And you know, you got to tune in to find out when this stuff is going live. We hope you do, and also enjoy the show. But I've just gotten some test pressings from the EU for Maurice Brown, and man, did they sound good. That's the mood. Also included in that package is Javier Santiago's Phoenix album. There will be a limited number of copies available. People in the EU will be able to buy some of these in stores, but here in the US, we're talking 50 copies. So that'll be out. And we're also on the vinyl front, we have pre-orders cooking now for Jonathan Scales Orchestra, with signed copies and test pressings available. Alexia Bump Tempo, Suspiru, and there are more things to be announced. So we've got a lot. I also have, you know, I've been gathering all the collectibles, things from Ropeadope's history, that we will be putting out on Discogs and on certain spots as we come through this holiday season and we come into 2021. I'm going to come in with you know, just a people's history of Ropeadope, if you will, and talk about everything that's happened at the label this year and in the past, and bring some special items out for people to hold on to. And you know, we want to move into 2021 with a fully positive attitude.
Love it.
All All right.
Sounds-
Sorry, go ahead.
No, this sounds great, Louis. You know, the specialty items coming out, it's exciting, very very exciting to me. I've been to Ropeadope.com. I've been doing my window shopping, waiting to give you a little magical list of like some awesome things that I'm looking at.
You better not sleep.
I know.
Because, you know, it's one of the sad parts about it. You know, you just can't. And I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but just to give people, if you're watching and you watch this later, we're also used to ubiquitous merchandising. It's been constant. But what happens when companies do that, especially smaller companies, is you're always building a large inventory in order to have merchandise available all the time. And there's no way you can compete with the likes of an Amazon or a Walmart to have everything all the time, right? So we're returning, and we've always been a niche marketing company, but we're returning to limited runs. You know, it's special. Get it when you can. And when it's gone, it's gone. It may come back in a year, it may come back in 5, it may come back in 10, but we're not going to flood it and have everything available to everybody all the time, because not only is it tough for the company to do that, but for an artist, and I've had some discussions with distribution chain people, like, how come Christian Scott Axiom is already sold out? It's like, because if you press 5,000, then the artist sits with that, and we sit with that expense on the books. And this is not the time for artists to be unrecouped.
That's right.
Or for a label to be unrecouped. This is a time for everything to be cash flow positive, as everyone knows, right? It's very important. So don't sleep on the clothing.
No,
Get your order in.
With that, I'm definitely Ropeadope.com, going and getting my stuff, getting it over to you. There's a nice little track jacket I'm looking at, Louis. So, I'll be getting that. Thank you very much.
There you go. I wanted a sweatshirt, and I couldn't get it because we sold out of my size. So that's what it is. Let me take it out with Ropeadope Sir, and we're going to resume tomorrow morning with Ropeadope Sir, a label that I'm so impressed with. Todd Klauser down in Mexico City, building community down there. This is Bahia de Ascenso. And before I cue it up, the track is Alter. Do you have some information you want to just...
Yeah, so like I said, Todd Klauser, Ropeadope Sir, down in Mexico, out of Mexico City. There's not one album that I... Listen, I'm just impressed with what he's able to curate, down there. This specific track and album really is a mix of some. It goes back and forth from like a wall of sound to like this beautiful, airy chord progression with vocals floating on top of it, and I'm just super excited. I would go down the list, but I would butcher everybody's names.
Let's give us the link. Yeah, I butchered Roberto's name in our meeting, in our Zoom meeting, but.
Well, it's easy to go. Just go to bahiadeascencio.bandcamp.com. That's BAHADEA.
You missed an I. BAHIA.
Thank you. DEAASCENSO. We'll put the link in the chat here.
Yep.
Bandcamp.
Or just ropeadope-sur.bandcamp.com, or you can go to ropeadope.bandcamp.com and just click on one of the imprint links. Set aside some time. You might get a little lost in there. All right, let's go out with that. Mr. Brown, thank you. Day
Yes,
one,
yes.
we're going to be here.
We're back.
As they say, we're the Spice Girls, and we'll be here all week. I'll leave you with that. You got to figure out between now and the end of the week what song, a live album from the past, that line comes from. All right, here we go.
Thanks, Louis.
See you tomorrow.
En tu ausencia duele. Se te va